Welcome to the few. You may have some background noise, some chickens crowing or some guinea hens cackling. But if you're truly in the country, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you don't look at those poultry as negative in your life, but it's a positive. So I've learned to live with it, and it's just part of being out here in the country. To the few, that's the name of the channel. And before I decided to put a channel up, I was pondering, should I or shouldn't I? And I told a little story the other day which reminded me of why I'm going to. It goes back several decades ago, where I had a neighbor a previous spot where I lived. You could tell he moved from the city to the country, and he was going to get himself a garden spot going. And he broke new ground, and he had a lot of sweat equity put into it. We were on a gravel road, and as I would go to town once in a while, I'd drive by his place because it's on the way, and you would see, because the vicinity was just like 50 feet from the road, and it's I could see his progression. I could see what he's up to, and as he went, and how he finally got some corn that was 6 inches tall in a nice straight row that was growing. But he planted it too thick. So here's the root of this video, what helped me decide. Same thing when I drove by that guy's house, when the corn was 1 inch apart, and it was brand new garden. So the power in the soil wasn't there. You may get corn 4 inches apart to produce a cob, but you're going to have your soil, so to speak, turbocharged, and the parameter is on meltdown. But there's no way are you going to get that in brand new soil, because you don't have the humus, you don't have the moisture capacity, and you don't have the nitrogen there. You just don't have the tilth. A lot of factors. So I could see it wasn't going to happen. But should I or shouldn't I? That was my question. Should I stop and say something to him, or just let him have a crop failure? And so I decided I'm going to stop in and say something. And so one day, just by chance, he was out there when I was on the road, and it doesn't get any more convenient, just because I don't have to go to the house, I don't have to knock on the door. He's already standing out there. It's a nice day, and it's not raining or anything or windy. It's a nice. Everything was fitting. So I pulled up, and I hang my arm out the door, and he's right there by my door, and I start telling him about his corn and his crop. Oh yeah, and you could tell he was admiring it, and he was very happy of himself. But when I told him, I said, you're going to have a crop failure, and if you don't thin out your crop about 80%, pull it out. And the corn looked nice when it's 6 inches tall. But since he never done, I could tell he never done this before. You don't plant corn like that. If you planted corn before, you don't do it like that. If you want to have cobs, I'm sure you want to eat some sweet corn cobs when this is all done. You're not going to have one cob if you grow it like you're growing it. So you've got to go in there and thin it out. About 80%, at least 80% of your corn, pull it out. Now, I didn't know him, he didn't know me. But see, should I or shouldn't I? And this is like the videos that I intend to put out. Should I or shouldn't I? And you know, I thought about it, and I had to lean on the side. You should, you know, before a person passes on, you should share things that would help the next generation behind you. You should. I had one fella that stayed here for a short time. He was a city boy, a young city boy. And my daughter and him were seeing if it was compatible. And so we're getting to know him, and he's getting to know us, and he didn't know a thing about agrarian lifestyle. And I said to him, there's a different mindset in people in the country. Say like you have an 80-year-old man. He's out there planting fruit trees. He's out there, you know, busting at sod, setting him in there, putting some fertilizer around them, making sure that the deer don't horn them up, and you know, like when they buck rub, and or if you had goats or whatever, sheep, that they don't mess up. You know what I mean? And rabbits eat the bark off. You got all kinds of issues when you start raising an orchard. I says, what good is an 80-year-old man? Why would he ever want to start putting an orchard in when he's probably not going to eat one apple off of it, or one pear, or whatever? He's not going to see the days to eat it. Why would he even bother doing that? See, there's something about a person's lifestyle. They're thinking ahead for the next people, and it's an unselfish way of living. You're thinking for the people that are coming up next, and it's a terrible thing that we're living in a society that we're losing that type of mindset, because it's to each my own. It's my little world, and you can go to heck if you want, and then people don't care. And so you got old people just going in a nursing home, and they don't bother. The kids don't bother to see them or visit them, or just hire somebody else to sit with them. And so the old people die with strangers that they never were raised up with. It's a sad deal. And that young guy, he just never thought of that before. Why would an 80-year-old man plant an orchard when he's probably not even going to? Because it takes about 10 years if you don't plant dwarfs, fruit. It takes about 10 years or so to start really getting the benefit of that fruit trees. And see, it's a different way of living. It's a different way of thinking. It's a different vision. So, back to the guy with the corn. He didn't believe me because he didn't change anything, and he didn't grow any cobs. He grew a beautiful Sudan grass, tall and spindly, and it was thick. You know, it was a lot of fodder. Like if you were going to feed a cow or something, you could feed it that, but there was no cobs. Now, you could say, well, here's the problem. Some people don't have truth antennas. A truth can come your way, and I've seen people react this way. A solid truth can come through and they'll look at that and go, that ain't right. And it goes and it drifts off. But something that's wrong, silly, or not the truth, they'll look at it and it's appealing or desirous, and they receive it in their mind. So there's somewhat of a reception. It's not only should I or shouldn't I say something, it's also depends on the person who receives it. I see that's on your end. You can take it or leave it. So it works. There's two things. There's the projection and the receiving. Both have to work at the same time. And some things I like to talk because agrarian is very important in my mindset because it's kind of a biblical view. And yeah, I'm a biblical person, but not a what do you call the typical church. I call it a club attending person. Because you ask yourself, well, which club am I going to go to? You know, there's so many different varieties out there. Which club is the best one, or the one proper one, or which one's telling the truth? You know, I don't. You know, which one? Because when you investigate, if you start doing investigation on what they believe, which I feel is the most important thing. I mean, they're going to tell me something, and because they'll say this is important to what I say to you because your eternal soul is what's up for grabs here, and your destiny for your forever. And so if you are going to be telling me something that is so important, it's a forever message, and then you're not accurate, your message is now disqualified. And so what you believe does make a difference. Not just is your coffee and donuts tasty, or you know, whoever, when you bring the potato salad and the chicken dinners, or the kids have fun playing, or there's extracurricular activities. I mean, I don't have to go to the club to find that. I can find places to eat and places to do all kinds of activities at my leisure anytime I want. So I don't have to have the club for that purpose. But you just can't go and trust everybody to say, I put your eternal destiny in my hands, that you got to believe what I'm telling you, and yeah, you just got to believe it. Well, now I'm just not the type of guy to buy it. Just I won't just like let it pass. I will say, hold it. What you just told me now, did you realize what you just told me? And I'm gonna analyze, I'm gonna investigate what you just told me. Because you're trying to tell me something that's supposed to be really serious. And if you're not taking this very serious, why should I? You know, if you're not being very accurate in your delivery, or you're paying attention to what you're telling me, if you're not paying attention, say for instance, they'll tell you that Good Friday, Easter Sunday morning, so Friday night, Saturday night, that's 2 nights, and Jesus, who they say now, the club, this is why I'm bringing some of this stuff up. They will say he tells the truth. He's the most honest there was ever. Trust him. He'll never let you down. I mean, he's not gonna sneak something by you and then try to, fool you. He's not trying to fool you or tell you something that's not right and then hope you believe it. He's not that way. So when he said now, you could find it, he'll be in the grave 3 days and 3 nights. Nights, he said, 3 nights. So when you have Friday night, Saturday night, that's only 2 nights. That's only 2. That's not 3. Now the same people that are believing in 2 nights, Good Friday and Easter Sunday morning, something's not accurate there. But if you just want to blow it off and say, oh, it don't matter. I'm the type of person. Now wait a minute. Let's back this up, because you said this is concern. You are informing me that I should believe you when you tell me something when you can't count to 3. I just caught you. You can't count to 3. You can't count to 3. And if you can't count to 3, and I can, this is not algebra. This is something very generic. And we're going to just blow this off as nothing. Why should I be solid in trusting that you're telling me something that I should stake my whole life on? Okay, that's part of the channel too. Stuff like that. And so I like to get into agrarian topics because that's my lifestyle. And so homesteading, animal raising, husbandry, and when you're raised amongst animals, you kind of learn what life is all about. And when you grow your own food, and I don't have to get into a food channel because a lot of people that are looking for country type videos, basically they're all on board that you should have a garden, or what do they start with? A chicken. I guess they all start with a chicken. Which is good. It's fine. You got to start somewhere. I've heard people that were in the city, they got fined for growing vegetables on their own lawn, and they own it, not renting. They owned it, and you can't grow vegetables, but you can grow everything else, like a flower or something that you can't eat. But if you kind of wanted to grow cabbage or a tomato or a pepper or some green beans, they fine you because they got these covenants and these ordinances, and they police you. And to me, when I'm watching people, it's like the light bulb goes on their head, and they're living in town, and they go, something is wrong here, because if who knows what happens, that the lights went out and the grocery stores would be raided, and you're to eat your own. It's a dog eat dog now, and you're living amongst people that it's just a backwards way of thinking. If you're a country person and you go, what is wrong with growing some green beans or a cucumber or something? I mean, what's wrong with that? Why isn't that viewed? It's a plant. And if it's a nice, healthy plant, you'd say, hey, that looks good to me. And this other plant, no, this one looks good, this one doesn't. Well, if you came, like my grandmother came from the Depression era, you would say, food does look good, and something I can't eat doesn't. Now, if you went through the Depression era when things were scarce, your mind was thinking different than now. You just people, but there's people out there that are starting to realize that, which is good. You need to. It's a good direction. They're actually gonna be good in the long run. It's good. It's good they're doing that. I think that the people that don't go that direction, that trust their food, that it's all going to be healthy for them, and just trust whatever these words are. I don't even understand that I should eat them, and they're all good for me. I think there's people finding out they've been lied to, and they're just see your truth detector. Somebody comes along and says, these words here, you shouldn't be eating them. And some people just go, oh, well. And another one go, the truth, it resonates with them. There's something there. I'm going to pause. I'm going to investigate. Because if you're saying I shouldn't eat that, I want to know why. And I'm going to look into it. I'm going to see what these words are. And do I have to really eat that? Or if I eat that, really, does it make me more healthy if I do eat it? And they look into it. See, it's a different type of people, I think, that are gravitating to the country. It's like lights. I call it like the light bulbs going on. And so part of my journey, like I says, agrarian all the while, being agrarian. And I've had some outside jobs, if you want to say at the same time, but my roots were always agrarian, having your own food, your own garden, canning, husbandry, cattle, cheese, milk, whatever, the whole thing. At the same time, thinking about, is there more to life than just what, raising critters and growing a garden. Is there more to it than that? Is that all there is to be satisfied, or is there a bigger picture going on? And so, like I say, when you go to the people who say they know God, and they tell you their story, and then when you pause and say, okay, I was listening to what you were telling me, where are you getting this from? The Bible. Okay. Anybody can get one themselves, and if you know how to read, you can start reading it yourself, and then you find out there's little study books in interpretation, and you can find out the Greek and the Hebrew and get technical about it. Depends how far you want to go with this, and which I did. I started getting technical in it because back to this again. They're saying this you need to be concerned about this, because once you're dead and this is your little window of life here is done, then we're talking about something else forever. Okay, the forever is longer than this life, and you can see by the gray hairs, I've lived quite a while already on this life, and so you're thinking, thinking ahead, but this is what they tell you. Are they being truthful with you? Do they know what they're talking about? 1, 2, 1. Do they know? Are they really paying attention to what they're saying? And when you start investigating it, I look at it like somebody baking brownies. And I never baked brownies. I've ate them, but I actually had to look up in the other day in my wife's cookbook what brownies were: sugar, flour, chocolate, vanilla, a couple eggs, baking powder, baking soda. I don't know which one now, I forgot, but I know there's a big difference. One is bitter and one ain't. They're both rising agents, but I can't remember which one was bitter and which one. You gotta put that in there anyway. So when you get it all mixed up, and you think, okay, everybody should be the same, because the cookbook says this is how you make brownies. So you got this book called the Bible. It's the cookbook. Everybody, all these denominations, these clubs, and they don't get along. If you want to be honest, the reason why that one don't go there, because they believe different than they do, and they believe different than that one. And the clubs, it depends on which club, because that's what I started all early. Which club would you go to then? Which one? So they all got the same cookbook, the Bible. I'm giving a similitude here. But then when you look into their recipe, they put stuff in there that it's not original. Like, for instance, 1, 2. And so I call that little Chihuahua turds they put in there. And it's just a little Chihuahua. It ain't no big deal, but it's in there, and it's all mixed up, and it's a little different now. It's just a little different. When you can taste the chocolate, yeah. And when you watch them eat it, they're eating, and the crumbs are falling, and they're happy, smiling. Give me a second one, and you want, and they're happy. They're going to do it again. They're going to make another batch. But if you start investigating, well, I just don't want to trust you, 1, 2, that your cooking abilities are just up to snuff, and you find out that club, that one there, they put Chihuahua turds in there, and you go, what did you put that in there for? I found out, instead of it shouldn't be in there. You're correct. Because when we look in the cookbook, it was not supposed to be in there. Instead of saying that, and say, but we're going to stop that, and we're gonna put it like it's supposed to be. And we're going to stop putting little Chihuahua in there. Instead of saying that, they'll say, why are you asking? Are you a troublemaker? And it's it's turning it on its head. And they'll say, well, it says 3, but use practice 2. Why? I mean, you could just say, yeah, I know, let's do 3 like it says. No, we're going to dig in our heels and we're going to hang on to 2. And in fact, we're going to look at you like you're causing trouble. And I don't think it's causing trouble when you want to straighten the recipe out. I mean, why would that? I look at causing trouble is when you put them Chihuahua turds in there. That's causing trouble. Taking them out is not causing trouble. It's called an improvement. Just, I guess that's what you'd call this video. Dog turds and the brownies. How about that? Let's call this video that. And but I'm going to say, when you go to another club, they start doing stuff like tattooing in their cookbook. And you go, well, you all have the same cookbook. How come you all have this different recipes going on here? And I'll get into some of that. I got some, old-timey stories, life's experiences. And some things are naturally humorous. Like when I was a kid, we would have kids. I'm originally from Wisconsin, and when I was a kid, for instance, we had a farm on the lake, and it was a legitimate farm. And kids would come to the lake to vacation in the summertime from the city. I call it the big city. And they would, since they're on the farm / lake, the kids would want to come over to the barn and see what I'm doing. So you'd be milking a cow by hand, and you'd have them. You know how the milk comes out, and then you tell them pump the tail. So they pump the tail, and at the same time you squirt, and they pump. I said pump faster, and they pump faster, squirt faster. And but they don't know. They don't know. They go back to the camper and says, I was milking a cow. And they told them what they did. And as a city boy versus a country boy, see, now as a country boy, I'm just busting the gut thinking how they really believe that. And then, or you want to see where milk comes from, I says, come closer, and then you squirt them in the face while they take a look. And then, you're laughing. They did get to see where the milk come from. Or you stand on the hill and they're fishing on the shore, and you throw stones, and it goes ploop in the water, and they pull in their rod and reel, and they cast over where that splash was, figuring that was a fish jumping. Well, you're sitting on the hill with a pocket full of stones, and the fish is lighting up with jumping all over. They're pulling up and casting, and you're up on top of the hill, hiding behind the tree, laughing. Stuff like that. Anyway, that's country folk humor. If you're in the country, you can recognize what I'm saying about that. Now, I would say country living is the best living there is. Is the best way to raise a family, to be raised in the country. It's just the best way to live. It's not talking about the best money-making deal in the country. It's a lifestyle. I think it's the best lifestyle when you live your whole life in the country. You got the top of the line.